I think it's a good thing for your kids to get bullied,
Yeah?
actually.
Do you?
Because it's real. Childhood is like a dress rehearsal for the real problems of adulthood. We don't want to clear that path for her. She needs to have the tools to deal with it. So as much as I do the mama bear, I don't go full tilt like, that kid, we hate her. I just say, listen, Ivy, I hate to break it to you, but for the rest of your life, there's going to be someone that rubs you the wrong way, and you have to have the tools to deal with it, and you don't let them into your inner circle. But I don't tell them, you just
because that gives them
polite.
ammunition. You're like, okay, great.
Being a mom is the toughest job there is, and it doesn't come with instructions. So it's okay if you don't have all the answers. We'll figure it out together. This is Mom Brain with Hilaria Baldwin and Daphne Oz.
Hi, I'm Jill Kargman. I'm a writer. Well, I'd like to start by saying I love your studio, your office, your blaring Hall & Oates in the shitter, which I don't know if you're aware of, but it just made me happy on the can, and I'd like to thank you for that.
What did we advise you in? I think there's a meditation room we wanted to
I saw that
advertise.
for
in.
nursing.
Only 30 minutes, though.
Oh, yeah, they cap it. Like, your stress cannot, 29 minutes, get out.
Why is it
Hope
so
you're not
pleasurable
stressed.
to read? I'm going to answer my own question. I was going to ask, why is it so pleasurable to read something while you're in the bathroom?
Because you're a captive audience. It's like I read a barf bag. I read whatever. The fuck is in the seat pocket in front of me.
Literally. It's
Nothing
crazy.
else
Well, it's
to
also,
do.
only when I'm out can I actually do that, because if I tried to read anything in my home bathroom, it would just be game over.
Oh, it's like, forget it.
no.
But it helps you. I think it just like calms you down to read the signage. But I was in the Delta magazine once, and more people commented on that than when I was in Vogue.
Oh, that's fascinating.
because you're
actually.
trapped.
That's wild to me.
There are some ad agencies, I think, that because I sometimes in like a crapper downtown in a restaurant or a bar, there'll be like these flyers, for stuff. Like there's a condom company.
I'm so glad she's our number 3 of the day, because we can get like a little
loopy?
we are going to
Take
be
your hair
wide
down,
awake
bitches.
we're going to be wide awake for you. I know.
Down. We've had some really deep, metaphysical,
Conversations
reject the
Snooze.
patriarchy conversations.
Oh, okay.
So far.
Well, that's good, I guess.
You're so entertaining. This is great. Now we're gonna. Okay, so we are 3. Maybe not originally, at least for me, and not for you either. But we're 3 New Yorkers.
Yes, I could never live anywhere else.
I was born and raised in New Jersey.
I know,
born in Philadelphia.
Jersey, so far
You're
away.
still
Northeast Jersey.
So far away. Okay, so we all have, and then I can imagine, like, anybody who's listening who's like not a New Yorker, you can like imagine like the stereotypical New York mom,
Yeah.
Upper East
So-
Side New York mom.
Well, yes, we need to talk about the stereotypical New York East Side mom, but we also need to talk about the fact that I watched your show before I had children in school, and it
And you didn't go
fully
get your tubes
terrified
tied?
me. It was like,
I hear that a lot.
holy
People go
crap.
like from the TV to the vasectomy clinic.
So talk about that, because I think the New York mom is a very unique breed of creature.
I personally think that the natives like me are not like that. I think that all of those really type A people where they had that sort of upward mobility and the business card with the fancier title and the bigger office, if they quit their jobs abruptly, all of that, it's like the Newtonian law of energy. All of that drive and ambition doesn't just evaporate. It gets channeled into the fetus.
Yes. So talk to us about On Mom Out. How did it come together? Tell everybody what it is and why you felt this was your opus to create.
It was my opus because I was at home with my kids for 11 years. And I was writing trashy novels, which were mostly like
amazing.
women and gay men reading them. And then
Wait, that's awesome.
Andy Cohen and I talked
like
about
sex scene trashy novels, or like what are we
there were
talking
some
about?
there were some like blowing at the Met and all kinds of stuff. It was more just like chick lit. It grew out of that chick lit because the chicks got married and then it was part of that
So
mom
like Sex
lit.
in the City style.
Well, more like no sex in the city once you have children. No, I'm
Celibacy in
kidding.
the city style.
Yeah. Well, it was just like a strange phase in my life. I had 3 and 4 years and I was really tired and I didn't have like any help because I was also 28 and I felt like, and my husband's my exact age and we were in a 4th floor walk up and I just felt like I was drowning in my life at that point. And I was really happy. Like I have a great husband, but we were just, it was like, not that we weren't in a good place. It was just the strain of 3 kids under 4, I think. And I started just crying for no reason. Like, even if I wasn't on the rag. Like, some days, there was one day I just burst into tears at Ballet Academy East because these moms were like all best friends. It was kind of that mom clique that took Lamaze together. And I told my daughter to sit down Indian style. And they were like, we don't say that. It's crisscross applesauce. That's not politically correct. And I felt so bad, I just started bawling alone in the bathroom in my like Urban Outfitters, and they're all decked in Valentino. So I told my husband these stories every night, and he's like, this is really funny. Like, you have to, it's crisscross fucking applesauce. Like, give me a break. Write this shit down. So that turned into a novel, Momzilla's, about this world, which NBC optioned. And then I met with Andy Cohen he wanted to talk to me about doing a reality show. And I was like, that's never happening. Like, you could not pay me to put a camera up my sphincter. Like, no way. But I said to him, NBC, which owns Bravo, owns my book, and I'm going to drop it off for you. But I really want to adapt it. And it was in turnaround. So he introduced me to Lara Spots, who was their executive, and I really developed it with Bravo. I mean, a lot of people say, why Bravo? That didn't seem like a fit, because it's a scripted comedy. And for those of you who haven't seen it, it's not just about parenting, because a lot of non-parents, like you watched it, it's about keeping up. It's about sort of that world of competitive parenting or competitive anything. So anyway, it was really fun. We had a great 3 seasons. It took 4 years to make the 3 seasons.
But you're not an actress by training, or
actually,
are you?
I was in college. I was always in a
really?
play,
Okay.
but I thought I'm never going to go be an actress, because you have to like blow fat casting directors, and I'm not going to like
Not
bone Harvey
anymore.
once. Yeah, now
Not
you don't.
anymore.
Back in my day, I had like a tennis ball with Walker, like Walker with tennis balls. Back in my day, nobody looked like me on TV. I just thought you had to be like blonde, like you guys, tits on sticks.
Oh, but I'm recently blonde.
it
I'm
looks
only
really
blonde.
pretty.
Thanks. So it's like 2 weeks old. I'm
it looks
normally
good.
like my hair's like almost your color.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
cool.
trying to hide my
Recently
grays.
tits. This is just pregnancy related.
I love it.
Yeah, the
You guys
boobs
look
are breastfeeding. It's all, you know what? See, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like those are the pregnancy and the quote unquote 4th trimester are, you just have to surrender to the flow and not give a shit. You can pull yourself together in your 40s. No, I'm kidding. You guys look gorgeous and fetal.
I'll take a fetal analogy. You write this book, you have it optioned, you create it into a series. They tell you they want you to star in it. You have not acted since college. How do you throw yourself into it and not be absolutely terrified?
It's like Larry David, like it's a version of me, So they were sort of saying we want it to be like this Upper East Side Curb, which was great and a great like thing to strive for. So for me, it didn't feel like a reach. I wasn't playing like a decapitated queen from 400 years ago. It wasn't like a stretch to play a version of myself. It's sort of though me at 28. It's not really me. That's the difference, is that a lot of people I spoke to when we were doing press tours were like, so it's you, right? I mean, it's, 3 kids and 2 girls and a boy. And I was like, it was me when I didn't have the balls to like tell people to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt so vulnerable when people would judge choices or parenting comments or anything where I felt like there was some kind of mom on mom judgment. I didn't know how to handle it. Whereas now
And how do you handle it, please? Teach me.
Well, now if like by the time I had my 3rd, so I didn't nurse, and a mom literally grabbed my boob, like Molly Ringwald's, Sweet 16, whatever, 16 Candles. She grabbed my boob and was like, how's the nursing? And I said, I'm actually a bottle feeder. And she goes, shame on you.
Wait, I'm
like,
sorry,
you've
what?
heard of mom shaming? She literally said,
The word
shame on you. I was on Lexington in 66. I'll never forget it, by the Armory. And I was shaking.
Wait,
I was
a woman
so,
you knew? A woman?
Yeah.
Grabbed your boob?
She grabbed my boob and said, how's the nursing?
That is
And I said, I'm a bottle feeder. And she goes, shame on you. Shame on you. And I said, excuse me? And she goes, well, it's much better for the baby. There's studies. She went like full tilt la leche on me about their IQs. And I said, well, my mother bottle fed me and IQs don't come higher than mine.
Ooh,
But with the first one, the nurses at New York Hospital were really putting pressure on me. And I was like, not that it was any of their business, but I was like, I have a thyroid disease. I have to take, all this Synthroid. I don't want to put that in my baby. So mind your own fucking business. But I didn't say that to people until my 3rd.
Why? What gave you the balls to say it after your 3rd? I think we all had things that we were anal about or scared about with our first that we got over, right? Like all the things that made me neurotic and crazy with my first,
you
I'm
just don't
totally
care.
moved on. But I still think there are things that feel like it's not necessarily that I tell people to go fuck themselves, although maybe I should start that. I just don't invite the commentary. I don't talk about the things.
You become unapologetic about you know yourself. You become grounded in what you feel is right. You're the mama. You are the CEO, and this is what I'm doing, and it's none of your business.
Yeah, I think one thing that's great about being 44 is I just have like thick crocodile skin. Like nothing bothers me. I mean, people tweet that I'm like a ugly Jew cunt or Marilyn Manson. I don't care. I honestly am like, your profile's an egg. You have 7 followers. Like, I don't care.
This is
do
why
not
I'm
care.
not really on Twitter either, by the way.
But it wouldn't. I feel like it wouldn't bother you because you seem really strong. Like, I don't care. But when I was 28, I wasn't on TV. I didn't have as thick a skin. You feel like even if you cultivate this badass persona as a writer, the second that you shit out a kid, like you are only as strong as your kid. Like people can say all these things to me, and if someone's horrible to my kid or some little brat in school says something, I'm like, I want to decapitate that 12-year-old.
So your kids are how old? What are their ages?
Almost 16, 13, and 11.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
But I think what she's talking about is really important. Of like, how do you, and this goes on to like online shaming and stuff like that. How do you get comfortable in your own skin? And you said to me, I think that you'd be fine with it. I wasn't always. I had, and I'd love to hear about how you feel your
trial
thing
by
is.
fire. It was awful.
But it was, I was a yoga teacher, and then all of a sudden I married this person who I found out later. I knew he was famous, but I didn't realize how famous. He was like super, super famous, and then also had like a very like wild relationship with the press and paparazzi and all of this kind of stuff. When I met Alec, I was like, I'm not going to read anything about him because I want to know him from what he wants to tell me.
That's smart.
I was very traumatized by it as it was coming. And I don't know, maybe I had some like a little bit of background and be like, oh, okay, this is what to expect. I mean, I was literally learning as I was going. And in the first year I had like, we had fights, there were police, there were paparazzi, there was a stalker, there was like, it was just like a full thing. And I used to care so much what other people thought. So much.
But then it's by fire. Now you can get through anything.
And then, exactly. Then, like, you've been embarrassed so many times. My butt was shown a couple times. It's like wind blew up it, like all this, like every
of all the
single
butts
thing.
to be exposed.
You know what? My
So
butt
terrible.
my first one was pre-marriage, and
If I
my
were
butt
you, I
was
would do it
looking
on
really
purpose.
good. No, my second one, I was like almost full term pregnant with
people
my
do.
daughter in front, and Alec picked me up, and I had a gigantic pregnant butt and in a thong, and I'm going like this at the same time because I'm freaking out that he picked me up in a T-length dress in front of 200 photographers. It was horrible.
That sounds cute.
No, it was not cute. And then they put it on the front page of the paper, and thank God I was in France. Always look at the silver lining.
That's a good silver
But
lining.
I have to say that what you get to point is, when are you fed up with it emotionally? When are you fed up with it where you just become unapologetic? And for me at this point, I'm like, what else are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
Really? Do you think that you can humiliate me more than that? Because I'm actually super comfortable now. I'm super comfortable and confident because I've experienced so much. You saw me cry. You saw my butt. Like, you've seen everything. And now we're at the point where you know what to expect. And so I don't have to be scared anymore of you.
I think my answer to that is when you're out of the woods, when your youngest is 5, when they're all in school and you come home and you have this great family dinner and you're hanging out and your home is actually truly a sanctuary instead of a place where I had like 2 in diapers and it was chaotic, and I liked to go get a drink with my friend or, have a date night. I hate when people say that, but I would go to dinner with Harry or something because I needed a break. Whereas now I actually don't go out. Like, I enjoy being home. My home is a total sanctuary. So then it becomes this emotional armor where you feel like it's us against the world and no one can hurt us because we have our posse. We have so much fun at home. I don't need a break from being at home. I love being at home. So that's your, sort of nest. And once you really feel that, it's like your cocoon. You don't want to do anything else.
How do you teach your kids to be strong and grounded?
By modeling it. So my kids have seen me flip my shit over anybody who fucks with them, and I try to do it without cursing when I'm in front of them. But I constantly talk about standing up for what's right, standing up, against a government that I feel is oppressive, standing up for women. And so I just think they see it, and I have like 2 super tough daughters that no one's going to fuck with.
How do you? Well, that's good. I mean, that's amazing.
And a son who won't
they don't
date rape people.
How, just because you seem like such a tough mom and like a mama bear that would go after anyone who did, and I am terrified of, and at the same time, I don't know. You shouldn't be terrified of it because it's an inevitable reality.
I think it's a good thing for your kids to get bullied.
Yeah?
Actually,
Do you? Okay,
yes.
Talk about that.
So my middle daughter, my little daughter, she has like a couple little twats in her class. I'll call them Celino and Barnes. And they make like comments or they freeze her out or whatever. And Harry, you know, there's such a trend now of that quote unquote lawnmower parenting, which I've always called curling parenting.
What's
Yes, where you
lawnmower
clear all the obstacles.
It's where you clear the obstacles, like curling, and then everything is smooth for them. You know, and so we don't believe in that. We
Is this
feel
like
like you
paying for
want to go
college?
through the weeds.
Paying to get your children into college, like those?
Operation
Probably.
Varsity Blues.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like making everything smooth. Harry and I are like, this is great for her. Let her get used to this. Let her get it, dude, because shit's real. Childhood is like a dress rehearsal for the real problems of adulthood. We don't want to clear that path for her. She needs to have the tools to deal with it. So as much as I do the mama bear, I don't go full tilt like, fuck that kid, we hate her. I just say, listen, Ivy, I hate to break it to you, but for the rest of your life, whether it's middle school, high school, at some dumb mom dinner party, there's going to be someone that rubs you the wrong way, and you have to have the tools to deal with it. And if you just kill them with kindness and be polite and then remove yourself, your side of the street is clean, and you don't let them into your inner circle. But, you know, you are your closest friends, and I never have been a mom that says, like, you have to like everybody. It's like a big sunshiny world out there. I'm like, listen, you don't think there are people that I can't stand? Of course there are, but I don't tell them. You know, you just
Because that
be
gives them
polite.
ammunition. Anytime that you're not nice gives the other side ammunition
Exactly.
to throw that back at you. If you're just kind and you're straightforward, you stand up for what you want. You don't. It's not like you're giving away or anything.
That's right.
You're not, letting them walk all over you. But and then the removing thing, you're like, okay, great. I don't need to have a big screaming match about it. I just leave, and I just don't need to speak to you again.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So have you created now, after all of the original tribulations, a mom friend group that you love, or like who are your best friends? Are your best friends moms?
My
Are your
best friends,
like
they're now all moms.
They are now.
But part of like the real loneliness that I had when I was a new mom is that all my friends were like blowing bartenders at
Right.
Moomba.
Right.
And I had no mom friends, so I felt this kind of panic of like trying to do that playground mom date thing, but it felt so forced. And proximity should breed some intimacy, but the truth is, even though I live uptown, I do feel like I was always more of a downtown quote unquote person, but I needed my parents because my mom really was like a second mother to my kids. And which I'm so lucky about, but geographically, I felt a little bit marooned with the milieu I was knee deep in, and just different values and priorities and all that. So little by little, my best friends became moms, but a lot of them, they'll have their oldest were at the age of my youngest. So the first few years were the hardest, and now it's all shaken out. And yes, I have made some friends through school, and I have a really intense sieve that I had to pour everybody through, because again, you don't want to just hang out just to hang out.
How did you and your hubby decide to have kids so young?
I wish I had
by
done
New
it.
York
I wish I had
standards.
done it younger, to be honest. Well, we were young, and he really wanted 4, and I really wanted 2, and we wound up splitting the difference. But I don't know. I had an IUD for 11. Oh no, I was on the pill for 11 years. Now I just had my IUD taken out after 11 years. But so I had a miscarriage. Oh no, I had Sadie, then a miscarriage, and then Ivy and Fletch. And he really wanted to go for the 4th. But I just always felt like when you're on birth control for so long, and you hear so much about infertility, you don't want to take for granted that you might have issues. And frankly, like I still hear all these girls who are newlyweds at 35, and they're like, we're just going to wait. We're going to take our time and enjoy married life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I'm sorry. This is like, I don't want to stress people out, but like people kind of take fertility for granted. It's not that easy, So I was so worried about that. I was convinced I probably couldn't have kids because I had Depo-Provera, which was like a shot in your ass that makes you not get your period for a year. Like I tried all these things when I was young, and I was like, I may have seriously wreaked some havoc in my ute. So we just like pulled the goalie pretty early.
Sorry, you're
In my ute.
I know
Your
that was
ute.
great. We're still stuck on that one.
My
I'm gonna take that one.
cuterus.
I'm gonna take that one.
Now there's like dust bunnies
Take it all
in
the way
there,
back to
but
Syracuse. Because I only asked because I found myself in a very similar boat where like the best girlfriends I had from college, all of them are now getting married, and our oldest is 5. John and I are going to be celebrating our 9th anniversary this fall, and I feel like my earliest years of pregnancy and new motherhood were very lonely as a result of that, because it was just such a different paradigm than what my best like the women that I would have turned to for advice on anything else, literally
can't help you.
absolutely clueless on this topic. And because look, they're really, it's not an intelligence thing. They're really, really smart women. It's just, it messes with your brain in a way, and it also just readjusts all of your priorities in a way that you can never predict. And I always think it's kind of interesting how people find whatever little community they're going to find to get them through it. And because you're right, proximity should help, or having chosen to raise your family in the same place should help you bond with someone. And I do look, I love my kids to have play dates. I love meeting the moms of my children's friends. Now we're down in Florida, and they're like some of the most amazing women I've ever met in my life.
Well, you and we became friends through I guess we're kind of in the same business too, though. So I wonder, because
We have a lot of touch points.
Yeah, a lot of my friends were friends before. And then I have a couple of like really, really good friends that I've met through, becoming, we were parents and we sort of met each other at different things. But it was never one of these where it just felt forced. You know what I mean? It was just, somehow like somebody said something funny and then you ended up exchanging info and stuff like that. I think that as guarded as I have been from, the experience I said before, it made me very guarded. Now I'm in a place where I'm really open. And through that openness, you meet like-minded people, and you can kind of you're like, all right, I see you.
It's easier when the kids are older. It's even easier because when they're little, like you're kind of in survival mode. And I just think once you're just like out to dinner as a family or out at theater or like using the city as kind of a third parent instead of being as, homebody-ish. You just meet more people, like because you're more chill because they're not going to like kill themselves with an electric socket.
What does your husband do?
He's in quote unquote tech. I don't fully get it. He's a company called Cargo that he started in 99, 20 years ago. And they do like mobile advertising and like software shit. I don't fully get it.
All of my
But he's geek chic, and I like it because it was, on our first date, we met on a blind date, and he was, and he was wearing like his Harvard ski team pants, and he was a computer science major, and I was like, okay, he's smart. Like I'm down with this. And
so smart was the number one criteria.
No, funny, and having just a generally good sense of humor, appreciating my weird humor.
Well, I feel like you're very funny, and I wonder sometimes if two people can be funny in a relationship, or if you're both just like waiting for the laugh. If it's
no, I'm the funny
You're
one.
the funny
no,
one.
I'm kidding. He makes me laugh too, but he's a really good audience.
Okay. he gives good applause.
Exactly. No,
But he feeds me. He feeds it. We
You
kind
guys
of
have
go
banter.
off each other.
You have
We have
banter.
hashtag
What was
witty
your first
banter.
date?
When?
What was it?
Oh, we went to on Grand Street. That French restaurant in Soho. I can't remember.
Raoul's.
No, not Raoul's. I'm blanking. I don't know. I'm like losing my mind. We landed from San Francisco last night, so I'm like a moron because it was my 17th anniversary this weekend. So we went to San Francisco for this creative growth benefit.
What do you think? I mean, I'm just trying to like understand your brain process as you charted this course that you've had. What do you feel like a motherhood expert now? Do you feel? I feel like you're in these mom conversations a lot as sometimes a voice of reason, and as an expert. And do you feel like that? Is it weird to you?
Yes, because I actually feel like if people were to see behind the scenes, they would say, oh my God, that's so inappropriate. Like she lets her kids watch Deadpool, or she has conversations about blowjobs. And like, with my 16-year-old especially, I keep talking to her parents' friends. I mean, this is where I never would use the word expert. I don't think there's such a thing until you're like on your deathbed and your kids all have Pulitzer Prizes or something. But like my daughter and I tell each other everything. And she'll ask me about like when I first gave a hand job or when I did this, and we'll talk. And most people would be horrified. But at the same time, those people, their kids are like juuling and they don't know. Like they don't know what their kids are doing online. They don't know what their kids are doing with their boyfriend. Like, and it's always the most helicopter moms who email me 3 times about that I'm having their kid over who's like, giving a blow in my other daughter's bed, and I said, like, I don't want people boning here. I don't want any of that anymore because, that did happen a little bit. But like, I don't feel appropriate. Like I never serve alcohol. I never allow them to smoke. I never allow juuling. Although when Sadie wanted to smoke a cigarette, I said, okay, go with my friend Richard. I've never had a cigarette. My mom smoked from age 10 to 32. She's French. And I broke all her cigarettes in half when I was a kid. And so it really upset me that Sadie wanted to try it. But I knew she was going to try it because she can. So my friend Richard chain smokes, and he used to do way worse than that. So he, this is a good thing. So he took her outside and was like, okay, Mom said you want to try a cigarette. Here. And he lights a cigarette and he goes, get me a paper towel. So she got a paper towel and he exhaled into the paper towel. It was this like yellow brown spot. And he goes, I can't get a boy to kiss me because I smoke. And in the gay community, everyone's like health nuts. He's here you go. Take a drag. And he said he thought she was going to start coughing, but it was like Lana Turner. It was perfect. And then she exhaled and she was like, yep, that's gross. I'm never doing it again. So I tell everybody, they're like, you let your daughter try a cigarette at 12? I was like, yeah, and she's 16 and she hasn't had one since, And she tells me when she sipped vodka at a party and she didn't like it. And she told me, but she tells me everything with her boyfriend. But like, I think you have to give to get, and like to have that closeness and tell your problems and your own frustration about being a teenager. Like for me, even though I'm older, it's not a distant memory. Like I remember being 16 like it was yesterday. And I remember all of those insecurities, and it's not an easy time. But if you say to kids, it's not an easy time, and I'm here for you and you can get in my bed and tell me all this crap, like they feel a little safer, I think.
I think it's 100%. And also that I remember I've heard once or twice, I know you think you feel that way, with this idea of like, oh, you feel like this now, but don't worry. It's like you're gonna get it in the future. And it sounds like what you do for them is you allow them to be really present for the learning experience. And then they figure it out, and you're with them with this sort of like awareness of where it will go. That hope of like I hope my daughter doesn't like cigarettes, or what about technology? That's one thing that I worry about as the kids get older. How do you monitor that? Do you monitor that? Do you think that just being open with your kids and them trusting you and saying, okay, I can go and I can talk to my mom about X, Y, and Z, or do you like monitor their Instagram or Facebook, or I don't know what kids are on?
Yeah, I follow all their Instagrams. All my kids have Instagram.
Do they have the fake Instagram?
They have a Finsta.
Yeah.
They have a Finsta. I follow those too. We have a rule. The second that they each got their phones at 12 or whatever, my son got at 11 because he's at school in the village and I want to communicate. The rules, we had like a whole sheet of rules. Like, if you do not have location services on, phone goes bye-bye. If I find out you have a social media account that you didn't tell me about that I'm not following, your phone goes bye-bye. Like, we had rules. And so they get it. And there's no phones at the table, no phones. But I don't monitor what they're on. I mean...
You don't read their private messages, stuff like that?
I don't. I read one of them when she showed it to me. All of her friends, because her friend, this was the one who had Celino and Barnes, like, being little c***s. But my son is the only one I'm concerned about. The girls, I feel like... Their school scared the shit out of them with this 2-day seminar in middle school and high school. Most schools do this, where they scare you about what can happen. And there's like that story about the horseman girl who showed her boobs, and then she dumped the guy and he disseminated her tits everywhere. And like my kids would never do that. And in fact, they freak out when they have friends who send a topless selfie to a guy because they're like, what do I do? This is wrong. And I'm like, tell her she's a fucking idiot and that this can go on. But these girls don't have parents who are doing scared straight kind of. Whereas I'm really always telling them the shit that can go wrong.
What was because your kids are older than ours are now, and I feel like you've been through other challenges that we haven't faced yet. What's been the most challenging parenting experience you've had?
You know what? I'm going to be totally honest with you. Yeah. Having kids your age. I mean, when I had kids your age, people said to me, oh, little kids, little problems.
Thank you so much for saying that.
Just wait when they're older.
Thank you so much for saying that.
It's bullshit. They're losers. I don't know what their problem is.
It terrifies me.
I'm like, not true.
You're saying it's going to be crazier than when they're literally at peril every minute I'm not with them? Like,
they're not. It's not true. That's something that moms say to condescend to younger moms. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it's not true.
That makes me feel so bad.
Thank you so much.
You know what? I hated every step of that. I hated it when they were crawling and I wanted them to walk, and they're like, trust me, you don't want them to walk. You want them to crawl. And I'm like, no, I want them to walk. I have fucking sciatica. But I hated every step of the way. People are like, oh, trust me. It gets so much harder. You don't know where they are at night. I'm like, really? I know where my kids are every night. But
I think that really is the key. Just like be open with them and have them be open with you. If you can manage that, where it sounds like you don't really judge them too much.
I don't judge them at all.
And so
whatever they're
really
doing, it's not as
safe.
bad as what my friends and I were doing. I mean,
Did you have a very free childhood where you
Yes.
sort of able to do whatever you felt like?
You know what's so weird is I tell my parents now, like, you guys are on crack that you let me walk around at 8. I got on the subway at like 10, and I would take the bus at 8 to go to Tower Records on the West Side, which wasn't like as nice as it is now. And I had no cell phone. New York in the 70s was a shit hole. I mean, you guys were not alive, but it was like danger. The whole subway was covered head to toe in graffiti, and now they glamorize it in coffee table books, but it was fucking scary. And I went all over by myself as a child, and Eden Pats went down and things rained in a little bit, but like New York was not safe. I mean, really. And my kids, I know exactly where they are. They have cell phones telling me where they are. You know, I feel like my parents let me do pretty much whatever I want. I had a curfew. My dad always said, like, be home by Saturday Night Live. And on Saturdays, we all watched SNL as a family. I stayed up till 1, but I was home. And, you know, even later, I remember I lived at home after college because I couldn't afford my own place in New York. And they were like, Jill, you know, you've been out in college and you have your own life, but just come home when you need to come home, but nothing good happens after midnight. And I remember, like, I came home once at 3 and was like, that sucks. I feel like shit. And even if I was 20 or whatever, I just always came home at midnight after that.
I feel like what I like about this conversation is I do think that all the things that pose big dangers to kids down the line and to young adults, people finding their way, period, are because we have made them taboo to talk about in the first place.
That's right.
And I'm very much like you are with your older daughter. With my mom, like there are no secrets. Like she was 22 when she had me. I feel like I grew up with a friend more than a mother. I mean, she was always very mothering to me.
My mom was 22 and she had me also.
But like they're learning their way too, and they're not as I think also just by a feature of when they were raising us, they're not as precious about knowing everything at that age. They're kind of like, I don't know, let's try this. Like, let's see if this works.
But that's what gives
know?
you that safe place. And so when I got to college and people are like, you're from New York City and you're not bulimic and you're not a coke whore and you've never given head, like they were so shocked. And I said, like, it's because my parents are so close with me. And, you know, I tell them everything. I told them when I lost my virginity in 11th grade, like, but I hadn't given a blowy. And so that's what I was talking about with my daughter. Is like,
it's a blowy.
No, now a blowjob is like third base. Whereas for us, like boobs or hand jobs were third base and then sex, and blowjob was like later. But now all these Upper East Side moms are getting that thing where you get raped by a lightsaber. It like re-virginizes you. You're like a Thai teenager. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know
Like people
that.
are going to go on
I
sex
need-
tourism for you.
I need more mom friends to learn about these things.
You basically lie there and they rape you with a lightsaber and you orgasm during it.
Not what.
And you pee every time you pee, you come for like 48 hours.
Yeah.
So people just sit with an
fake news.
Evian bottle. No, it's real. My friend did it and told me, and the woman, she was getting like turned on, and the woman who was doing it was like, "It's okay, go with it," and she just did. And then my friend John is a doctor in LA, and he does it a lot. And he said like the first day after,
We're getting a hand motion here. By the way,
yeah,
you guys should really watch
I'm doing
this
a lightsaber
on
mime. Marcel Marceau raping you with a lightsaber. They actually every time you pee, you like orgasm for the first like day. So
Wait, I don't
so he called his
understand.
friend and was like, "Hi, I'm just checking on you after the procedure."
like, "Life is
She
great."
goes, "I'm sitting by the pool with a bottle of Evian."
Just trying to pee as much as possible.
Yeah, she's just like chugging it.
And wait, what does this do?
It
rejuvenates you?
theoretically like tightens the muscles again, and like and also very much like with the light stim you do on your face, it stimulates collagen. It,
Yeah,
like,
it's
boosts
3
all this-
times the orgasm. Like I think for me, it was like so hard to orgasm after kids and all that stuff, and it like revs you up, like everything's more sensitive. So I think your whole box is like a clit.
That would be a big
Wow,
problem.
interesting.
What do you?
Oh, you could do yoga too. The yoga works too, guys. By the way,
Oh, really?
I'm too lazy. I like quick fixes.
too you're doing your mula bandha all the time.
Is that like where you
That's
like
your-
squeeze
yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Kegel.
What do you make of all the youthifying, re-virginizing, get your mom bad back in control situation going on?
I
now?
mean, I'm not against the lightsaber thing. I might do it. I'm just like not in the mood at the moment. But actually, like, I think it's really weird because I used to be really judgy and now I'm not. Like, for example, so I had a double mastectomy last year. I had 2 lumps in my left boob. And while I was waiting for my second breast MRI, they said I could just get a lumpectomy. I found out I had this breast cancer gene that like a lot of Jews have. So I did a double mastectomy, and now I have these like I'm like Amanda Lepore implants. A lot of times I would see women with implants and be like, what a fucking Barbie doll loser, like vain, porn star person. And now I'm that person. So it's like I don't judge as much.
Life has a funny
You
way
know
of doing
what?
it.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, even with breastfeeding too. I mean, people always are accusing me of having fake boobs, and they're completely real right now. But like
Right now, for
But
the
I
moment.
mean, before I would judge too, and I'd be like, oh, why are these people? They do these things to yourselves. But then once your like boobs are like down to your like waistband, you start to be like, I might be open to it.
Yeah, I never had any judgment about boob jobs. I'm all in. I'm
Oh,
all in.
all in.
You're like,
all about
I live in Florida,
I can't
bitches.
wait. I cannot wait. You're going to see me with my G-string bikini. You're not even going to believe.
Daphne and I are going to be doing mom brain in bikinis.
That is
We're
season.
taking our boobs done. We're going to do it in bikinis.
And where can people find out more about you, and what are you working on next?
I guess Instagram is the one I use the most. It's just Jill Kargman, my name. And I'm working on two TV shows right now. So one is a book adaptation and one is kind of a sketch comedy show for IFC. And I'll like post updates on my Insta.